The second part of Lesson 1.7, Absolute Value Inequalities. We'll keep the same rules in mind that we used for day 1, but now with absolute value, we modify things just a little bit. When solving absolute value inequalities, it's necessary to isolate the absolute value term on one side. If anything is being added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided to that absolute value, we need to move those things around first. Once you isolate an absolute value, no matter what's on the inside, it's the direction of the arrow that's significant. If the arrow points away from the absolute value, see how it's going away from those absolute value symbols? That means we're going to split this up into two parts. We would say that whatever's on the inside could be greater than A, or whatever's on the inside could be less than negative A. I like to call that a switch it, change it rule. So we switch the inequality, and then we change the sign for A on the right. The switch it, change it rule. And when you graph something that looks like this, since the arrow points away from the absolute value, the arrow will point away, or the arrows will point away from each other on the number line. So your answer would look something like that when you're done. Over on the right, if the absolute value is greater than or equal to, again, it points away, so we know that that's going to set up that switch it, change it rule. But we also have the part underneath that means it's equal to. And that will affect what our number line graph looks like. We split it the same way we did the values on the left, where we say U is greater than or equal to A, and then we do that switch it, change it, U is less than or equal to negative A. If we have to solve for our variable from there, you do your steps normally. On your number line, because of that rule, you'd have whatever your answers are, for the right-hand side. They're going to be equal on the number line, so it's a closed dot. But then because the arrow points away from the absolute value, the arrows will point away from each other on the number line. Let's look at another scenario. If you have an absolute value that you've gotten by itself and it's less than a number, that means it points toward the inequality. So if it points towards the inequality, it's going to connect. So here's what I mean. We still kind of do the switch it, change it, but now we're going to keep U right in the middle. And I'm going to put my negative on one side and my positive on the other. And then we'd solve from there if need be. On the number line, since the U is in the middle, we'd have open circles for our boundaries, but now we connect. So if it's a less than inequality, if the arrow points towards the absolute value, notice there are no actual arrows on the number line. The two values connect to each other. And the same idea would apply for less than or equal to. So it's going to connect because of the direction. And because it's equal to, we'll use our closed dots. We set it up with negative A on the left, less than or equal to whatever's on the inside, less than or equal to the right-hand side. And our number line matches accordingly. You have your two boundaries, but now because of the equal part underneath, we use closed dots and we connect them. That's what your shape would look like. The last two are kind of unique situations for this. If you have an absolute value, but it's less than a negative number, so like absolute value is less than negative 5, this is automatically no solution or not possible. An absolute value is never less than a negative number because absolute value is positive. Let's get that to look better there. Less than a negative number. And then the rule in the other direction, absolute value is greater than a negative number. Well, absolute values, since they're always positive, they're always greater than a negative number, so that means all solutions. That will always be a true statement. All right, our last set of examples for Chapter 1A. Let's put all of this to the test. You're asked to solve each inequality. Write your answer as both an inequality and an interval notation. And that's what we did in day 1. Then we'll graph our solutions on a number line. For our first example, -3 plus the absolute value of x minus 5 is less than 2. Now remember, when solving, it's necessary to isolate the absolute value if you need to. We need to move that -3 then to the other side. If it's -3 and it's being added, we're going to add the opposite, or +3, to the other side. The -3 and the +3 cancel, and we've now isolated our absolute value. On the right, 2 plus 3 is 5. Looking at the direction of the inequality, notice it's a less than, which means the arrows are going to connect. So what we do to break this down is we put the -5 on the left, we put x minus 5 in the middle, and then +5 on the right. So whatever this number is, we make it negative on the left, keep it positive on the right-hand side. Now we just solve. To get x by itself, this is now simply a compound inequality. We'll add 5 to each side. On the left, -5 plus 5 is 0. On the right, in the middle, the 5's cancel. On the right, 5 plus 5 is 10. This is your inequality answer. To write it in interval notation, notice we have a boundary on each side. We have 0 and 10. With the inequality as just less thans for both of them, there's no equal bar underneath, we will use parentheses as our boundaries. And that is your interval answer. From there, we'll draw our answer on a number line. We have numbers on each side. And remember we said before that the arrows would connect. So they actually aren't going to show any arrows on the number line. Put an open circle for each of those because of the parentheses. And X is in between, so they connect. In that next example, let's go ahead and put a 2 out in front. So now we have 2 times the absolute value of 4x plus 2 is less than or equal to -16. Remember, isolate your absolute value first. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And that would cancel out the 2 on the left, giving us 4x plus 2 inside the absolute value, less than or equal to -8. Notice right away we have a negative on that right-hand side when our absolute value is isolated. And the direction of the quality is less than or equal to, and we know that an absolute value can't be less than a negative number. Therefore, we don't have to go any further from here. This is going to be no solution. We can't find a value for x that has an absolute value in this inequality less than or equal to -8. All right, let's try a couple more. Absolute value of x plus 3 is greater than 7. Taking a look at this, the absolute value is already isolated. Look up above to see what we'll do with a greater than inequality. That goes away from the number line, and that represents that first definition up above. We're going to split this using the switch it, change it rule. Take x plus 3, set it greater than 7. Then we use the word or, and we switch it, change it. X plus 3 is less than -7. And we solve. I'll subtract 3 each time. My 3's cancel, and I get x is greater than 4, or x is less than -10. So now I have 2 solutions, and those are the inequality answers, but we need to represent them in interval notation as well. So I'm going to take a look at the arrow that points to the left, and that's this second solution that we wrote out right here. Since that goes towards -infinity because the arrow points left, I'm going to write that one first. It'll go all the way to -infinity up to -10. That means anything that goes to the left. But because we have a second answer, we have to use a U shape that's called the union, which means both these answers are for our inequality. The other one is x is greater than 4, and the arrow points to the right, therefore it goes towards +infinity. That's our interval notation. It's kind of tricky to get used to those. On the number line, we're going to have two boundaries, one at -10 and one at +4. Since the arrow is just greater than or just less than, we'll use open dots. And remember we said that the arrow is going to go, since the arrow goes away from the absolute value, our arrows will go towards -infinity and towards +infinity. They point away from each other on the number line. For the last one, I'm going to put you to the test. Can you separate this into two parts based on the type of inequality we have? And then can you get x by itself? Get as far as you can on this, and when you feel you've reached the end, either you have the inequality and or you have the interval answer, press play and see how you did. I solved all the way to my inequality answer and got a value x is less than or equal to -1. We had to switch the direction of the inequality because we divided by a negative. Or x is greater than or equal to +8. Notice based on the direction of the arrows, these are in the right order for our interval notation as well. If x is less than or equal to -1, that means the arrow points towards -infinity. And the boundary on the right is that -1. Now infinities never get a bracket, they always get a parenthesis. But the -1 has a bar underneath for the equal part, therefore it gets a bracket. The union or for both of those. The next one, x is greater than or equal to 8. The arrow points to the right, which means it points towards +infinity, but 8 would be our boundary on the left. And since it can equal 8, we use a bracket. For your number line here, we know we have a boundary and the arrows are going to go in opposite directions. Close dot at -1, and the arrow points to the left towards -infinity. Close dot at 8, and the arrow points to the right. Make sure to read these over before you take your quiz, and good luck!